Hello everybody, welcome back. It's a couple days late. I know the Pats game was 3 days ago, probably 4 days ago by the time you guys end up seeing this. But I wanted to, like I said, in my things to look for in the first preseason game video, like I said there, I was going to make another video on what I saw, good, bad, just it's stuff that's, stuck out and things that I noticed that maybe you'll want to either know or just something to look forward to and keep an eye on for next preseason game, which is, I believe, next Thursday, the 18th, against the Chicago Bears. So let's get right into it. I have it organized offense, defense, notes I took during the game that I translated from a messy piece of paper into a somewhat organized piece of paper, offense, defense, offense, defense. So we're going to start with the offense. Obviously, there's Jimmy G, the quarterback for the first 4 games. He had some miscues early. The miscues doesn't just mean erred passes, but also holding onto the ball a little bit too long. It doesn't help that the offensive line was a little shaky in this game when Jimmy G was out there, pretty much for the most of the game, but specifically when Jimmy G was out there. But he was holding onto the ball a little bit too long at first. He actually took a sack for that very reason, but he was a little shaky, a little hesitant. But that soon wore off. He started off, I think he was like 3 for 7 for like 20 yards, and then ended like 9. He ended on like a 9 for 11, type of spree or something weird like that. But he started off pretty poorly, pretty slow, hesitant. Really got into a rhythm with Martellus Bennett as well as Malcolm Mitchell, the wide receiver out of Georgia. But yeah, like I said, started out kind of slow. He had a couple passes that he threw. One to Martellus Bennett that should have been picked off, and he had a miscue pass to James White in the flats. He thought a route was being ran that wasn't, and there's just a miscue between the two. That could have been intercepted as well. So, but he did get into a rhythm, which is nice to see, and that's really what you look for. Out of the gate, just your quarterback for the first 4 games, finding rhythms, and he definitely did do that. And we'll get into with who. Obviously, Bennett and Mitchell, like I said, but we'll get into who. Both of them. Bennett looked great, and he should. He's a Pro Bowler. He's a great tight end, one of the better in the league. He's probably a top 5 tight end. Very good. He's someone who could give you that, but potentially give you the 2-headed tight end like we had with Hernandez. And he showed a connection with Jimmy G, which is what you look for. I think we know that that'll be there with Brady, but over the first 4 games, those first four games could be what decide being home field advantage versus going to Denver or going to wherever in the AFC Championship. So it's important that they develop that chemistry, and it definitely looked like they had it after the game. Martellus Bennett said him and Jimmy G are pretty close friends. They go out to eat together a lot. So that connection was there. And the other one, Malcolm Mitchell, like I said in my first video, I expected a lot from him. I wasn't the only one. A lot of people did. And he definitely showed up. He didn't get much playing time to start, but they eased him in very well, and he really took control of the game. He's someone who shows great ball skills when it comes to ball in air, positioning himself, and great after catch skills. He's not a Julian Edelman, quick speed demon who's going to juke out 7 guys, but he knows how to gain yards after catch in kind of an AJ Green type of way. Someone of that size, not necessarily someone in a Julian Edelman type of body, shifty. And he showed that. I think he had like 4 or 5 catches for 55 yards until he hurt his elbow. I was watching the video with my girlfriend. She thought he snapped his forearm, which would probably mean out for the season. Luckily, he didn't. It was but it was just a dislocated elbow, out for 4 weeks. Hopefully back by week 2, maybe week 1. Hopefully before week 3. But we'll have him this season, which is great. He showed that he could potentially be someone who steals playing time for sure. Another offensive thing I noticed is LeGarrette Blount didn't get the ball too many times. I mean, decent for a starter, whatever you want to call him. I don't know. He didn't look great, but like I said with the Jimmy G, I kind of blame that on the offensive line a little bit. They had a really hard time hitting their blocks, or not even holding them, just hitting a block, really, which doesn't help the running game. He looked like he has for the last season when we saw him, and then from what I've heard this year in training camp. Slow, which is what you expect. He's not a speed demon, but also not hitting holes, and he definitely didn't do that when he did get the ball and was given at least a little bit of running room. So I didn't really like what I saw out of him, but it is week 1. He didn't get a ton of reps, so Not much to say about that. Not impressed, really. Not wow, not extremely disappointed either. But a running back that I was extremely excited about is Tyler Gaffney, and you've probably heard by now if you're a Patriots fan, it's all over, it's buzzing. The guy, I'm just going to get into his story first. I feel like if you haven't heard it already, which you probably have, it's a guy out of Stanford. I remember watching him in college. Very electric, which is what I didn't see from him. Yes, he had a touchdown, but in college he was a shiftier running back. Very electric, ran for like 2,000 something yards, over 10, rushing touchdowns for Stanford, the Cardinal. That's not the same running back. Well, getting back to his story, he got hurt. Ended up getting drafted. Well, first he got drafted by the Panthers in like the third round, which is a pretty decent round. And then they tried to run him through the waiver wire because he was injured, and they wanted to put him on the IR/pup list, and do that you have to put someone through the waiver wire. And usually you don't pick up another team's injured player on the waiver wire, but the Patriots did that. They have no moral, I guess, when it comes to that. And he's been sitting on the IR, season-ending IR, for 2 seasons. So he hasn't touched the playing field for 3 years. So it's really cool, good for him. He had a good game. But I think the most important thing about this, and the reason I have him on my list, is anytime you are a Belichick guy, you're given a shot. Anytime you're on this roster, you're really given a shot. But specifically if you're a Belichick guy. Bill Belichick has kept a guy on his roster for 2 seasons without touching the field for him once. Yeah, that says a lot, doesn't it? I mean, to me, that rings a lot of bells. And Belichick likes the guy. He sees something in him. Without even having him play in a Patriots uniform once, he saw that something that he wanted. I feel like that says that obviously he would have drafted him if he got the chance in a later round or whatever. But he likes the kid, so he's going to give him a chance. He gave him a chance. He got a lot of reps last night, and he made the most of them. He's not as quick, like I said, as he was, in college, but pretty bad injury, so makes sense. But he showed, obviously he's a little quicker. Well, not obviously, you don't really know that, but he's a little quicker for sure than LeGarrette Blount. He's smaller, but he's not small. He's a first and second down running back. He's not a Dion Lewis. He's a cowbell, a cowbell back like that starts the game 1st and 10, get you 3 yards, or 3rd and short. He's not a 3rd and 10 pass catching back, though he can catch passes. He proved that in college as well. But he's not that fast, but he can find the hole very well. On his touchdown, it was a lot of down blocking and to the left, as well as two pulls to the left as well from the guard, and I believe it was a swing tight end as well. I'm not quite sure if I remember correctly. But moral of the story, everybody's blocking left, and you think either the play is going to be a stretch run to the left or a counter. It was definitely not a counter. It was a stretch run for sure. He made it a counter, though, which is great field vision. Hitting the hole. The play was not to the left. It was supposed to be, but everybody fell for it. And he went to the right, cut it back, and made the play a counter, which is honestly what it looks like it should have been. But he found the hole, and then he found the end zone. Not a quick guy, but savvy when it comes to finding the hole, and that's really what you want to see out of someone who is your 1 and 2 back. I do believe this isn't hype. I 100% believe that he has a chance and will get that chance just because of how close he is with Belichick. He has to have a relationship with him. There's no doubt. Belichick doesn't keep someone around for 2 seasons that's never played on his roster. Okay? So he's going to get a huge chance to take that role. He's going to have a chance to do what Dion Lewis did. He stole the 3rd down running back position last year in spring training, in preseason. I think this is something that you could very well see because LeGarrette Blount is aging and he doesn't seem to have the eye for the hole like this kid kind of proved that he had in his first game in a Patriots uniform, or an NFL uniform, I should say. So off of that, on to the offensive line. Last real thing I noticed offensively, it wasn't great. For sure, they have things that they need to work on. Nate Solder got absolutely beat, leading to a sack on Jimmy Garoppolo. I wasn't happy about that. Nobody was. He's supposed to be your best offensive lineman. You're paying him over $10 million a year to be your best, or around $10 million a year, something like that, to be your best offensive lineman. Your left tackle, the blindside guy, you got to be better than that. I know he's coming off of an injury, so, and it's early. They're still mixing and matching guys, which is something they're going to do throughout the preseason. But Dante Scarnecchia is back. If you don't know who that is, he's the offensive line coach for the Patriots, and one thing throughout his tenure with the Patriots before he retired and came out of retirement was he was not a rotational offensive line kind of guy. He liked one offensive line that played every single game. Last year, you saw the Patriots had a lot of guys going in and out, and a lot of people were fascinated by that. How could Tom Brady do so well with 12 different linemen that they'd use, plus injuries? So I think up towards in Game 3 of the preseason, Game 3, that's usually when you see the starters playing in the third quarter. It'll be very interesting to see, barring injury, who plays, because that looks like those could be the guys that get almost all of the minutes or plays or snaps, or whatever you want to call them, in the regular season. So that's all I got for offense. On to the defense. This isn't the first thing I noticed, but I feel like just because he's our top draft pick, I should talk about Cyrus Jones. He had a fumble recovery on a run play up the middle, which shows that he kind of has the eye for the ball, which is something that I believe I said in my first videos. He's just an energetic guy who's a playmaker. He's gonna make plays, and that's something he did. He recovered a fumble that was stripped by Jabal Sheard. I'll get to Jabal later, but there wasn't anything else really outstanding. Didn't have any big plays to him or towards his way. But if you're a corner and you're recovering a fumble and at the line of scrimmage, obviously you got an eye for the ball and you can recognize the play pretty well. Whichever rookie, that's great. For sure. Next thing, Patrick Chung made a perfectly Patrick Chung-like play. Wide receiver catches a ball or hits a wide receiver's hands. He decks him because that's what he does. He just hits people. Ball pops out, intercepted by Jamie Collins. Another play awareness and recognition by Jamie Collins to be around the play, taking it to the house, showing some playmaking skills. But that's really a play that was all set up by Patrick Chung. Great play by him. Thought I'd put that out there. Collins, Hightower, and Jabal Sheard played great games for the amount that they played. They were very, very, looked like they've been playing for 3 weeks. Sheard had that strip that was recovered by Cyrus Jones. It was a great strip. Let's see, Collins blitzes up the middle. Nobody could pick him up. He was making plays all over the field in the passing game or passing defense game and in the running game. And then Hightower, something very interesting was he was playing edge rush, complete edges, in like where Ninkovich would play. Seeing how Ninkovich is out, it makes a lot of sense. But that was very interesting to see him on one side and Shea McClellan on the other side, new guy from Chicago. So and he showed a lot too. He showed a little bit on one play, not a lot. He absolutely bull rushed the left tackle of the Saints into the quarterback almost to make a good play. So, well, you get a visitor to my cat. I like what I saw from Hightower. He was making plays all over the place too. Off of that, we had a few corners that really aren't necessarily guaranteed roster spots that played. Only one that really stood out to me was Jonathan Jones, and I believe he stood out to the announcing crew as well. I guess he runs a 4.3, which is very, very, very nice when you are a cornerback, because if you do have a misstep at the beginning of the play, and the wide receiver gets by you, you have the ability to make up for it with your speed and try to avoid a big play, something that he actually did do in the end zone a lot in the game. So very interesting. I like what I saw from him. He did get a little banged up, and after that he didn't play too great. But before that, he did show that he could potentially make the roster for sure, and maybe fight for some playing time. There's going to be a lot of playing time for corners out there, but he could, be vying for a job for sure. Another guy, two guys, Trey Flowers and Geno Grissom. Trey Flowers and Geno Grissom, two defensive ends that the Patriots drafted 2 years ago. They played great. They played great last year in the preseason as well, but injuries and whatnot kept them out. What are you doing, girl? But they played great. I forget which one. One of them had a sack touchdown. I want to say that was Trey Flowers, but it might have been Geno Grissom. But either way, both did play well throughout the game. That was nice to see for sure, because with Rob Ninkovich being out for at least a month or two, I'm sorry I told you guys in the last video it was all season, or I thought it was, and I was wrong. But that's great news. He's only out for a month or two. But with that being said, those two guys are going to have to step up and fill the role for sure. And another guy who's going to have to step up that I have on this list, Chris Long, defensive end / outside linebacker that the Patriots picked up from the Rams. He's a veteran who said he just wanted to play for the Patriots and Bill Belichick, which is all you can ask for. He really, really wanted to be in this system, which is, again, all you can ask for his entire career. He's just been a great player every single season for the Rams. But he showed some nice moves in the game for sure. He showed he still got it, which is really what you want to see. And with Ninkovich going down, he's gonna play a huge role anyways. with no more Chandler Jones. Him and Jabal Sheard are going to get a lot of minutes or snaps. And Chris, and obviously now that Ninkovich is absolutely getting even more. Jabal Sheard's probably a starter. Chris Long is probably a starter, but they're just going to be getting less rest time for the first half of the season or so that we do not have Rob Ninkovich, but he showed that he still got it. Malcolm Brown is my last guy on the list, and it's not because he did anything great. It's not because he did anything bad. It's because he looks like twice the size of he was last season. When we drafted him out of Texas, I watched him play a couple games, not many because Texas sucks now, so they don't get many national TV games. But when he did play, he showed, and when we drafted him, that he's a shifty defensive tackle, very versatile, could play on the outside if he needed to, defensive end, interior, quick to get to the rusher, to the passer. But I saw him last night, or two nights ago now. By the time you see the video, maybe 3. But he looks like he's been spending a lot of time with pot roast Terrence Knighton, who's about 330 pounds. Because this guy, I want to say that Malcolm Brown last year was 280 around there, give or take 5-10 pounds. He looks like now he's about 310. He looks enormous, fat. Obviously not in an awful, horrible way, but he just looks huge. So we'll see if that designates his role to defensive tackle. But we will see. That is all I have to say about this game. I'm going to be uploading another video on what I'm looking for in the next game in Chicago. I'm going to be gone. I'm going to Ohio State to visit the school from tomorrow, the 14th to the 18th. So I will not be posting anything, but I'm trying to make this other video so that I can get it up sometime while I'm gone, so you have something to look forward to. And then I will be getting a video up on what I saw, another one of these, after the Chicago game. So take care, everybody. Hope you have a great night.